Geetanjali. Asha ma'am.
Good evening, Asha ma'am. Ma'am, can you just check your camera
Yes.
and audio, ma'am?
Yes, Manju ma'am, I am here.
We request the competitors to
live.
join and make it live, ma'am.
Live started.
We are in live.
Okay. They're just joining in. Dear viewers, we sincerely regret for this delay. There is a slight technical glitch. Please stay with us.
Sorry for the inconvenience caused. Each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters the most. Buddha. Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Avenir 2021, a global virtual career guidance program launched by Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir under the auspices of the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman. On behalf of Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir, we Gitanjali of Class 8 and Mahiti of Class 9 from ISWK take the proud privilege of expressing our profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said for the altruistic and noble benevolence showered on the Indian mass exodus in the Sultanate of Oman. We, the Indian expatriates, are fortunate indeed to enjoy a world-class quality of life in a country that is modern, peaceful, and full of natural beauty.
May the Almighty shower His choicest blessings on His Majesty and may this nation experience peace and perpetual prosperity. It is for the very first time that we go global. Therefore, this event is of paramount importance. Through Avenir 2021, students converge not only from the local Indian schools in the Sultanate of Oman, but also from the other school boards such as CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, and IB, spanning across the MENA region and countries across Southeast Asia. Day 6 is related to interpersonal intelligence. Those who possess skills to see from others' perspectives have empathy, and the ability to counsel and cooperate can spot high career aspects as a counselor, salesperson, politician, or an entrepreneur.
We wholeheartedly welcome dignitaries from the Ministry of Education, officials from the Indian Embassy, Dr. Shivakumar Manikam, Honorable Chairman, Board of Directors, and other esteemed members of the Board of Directors, distinguished officials from CBSE, officials from the Indian Embassy, Mr. Alkesh Joshi, President, Indian School Wadi Kabir Management Committee, and other esteemed members of the committee, presidents of all the participating school managing committees, principals, vice principals, heads of various departments, coordinators, and the entire teaching community of all the Indian schools in the Sultanate of Oman. I am extremely delighted to welcome students from all the Indian schools in the Sultanate of Oman and across the world, parents, invitees, and all our well-wishers.
Dear audience, you are requested to fill in the feedback form, which will be posted in the description box towards the end of the session. Filling this form is necessary as it would fetch you a participation certificate. You are also requested to post your queries in the chat box. Our distinguished speaker will answer them in the Q&A session.
It is with sheer joy and great pride that I take the task of introducing our guest speaker today. She is a qualified chartered accountant with extensive consulting and industry experience, as well as UCLA certified college counselor. Before welcoming our guest speaker, let's watch a short video presentation.
Hi, my name is Ms.Debati Bhattacharya and I live in the sunny land of Muscat in Oman. I'm a qualified chartered accountant from India and I've had a successful stint of more than 15 years in the corporate world spread across the Big Four firm, PwC, and the global tax team of Timex Inc. USA. I'm now pursuing my course of certificate in career counseling with UCLA and I hope to pass with distinction. I've always been very intrigued by the prospect of career counseling for college-bound students, traversing the ever-evolving landscape of college admissions. I hope to mentor the bright young minds in their most crucial journey of their school life, finding the college that is the best fit for them. When I'm not working towards this goal, I'm often found reading, anything that I can lay my hands on, going for hikes, traveling, and camping with my family in the picturesque locales of Muscat.
With great honor and pride, I welcome Ms. Debati to conduct a workshop on writing a strong college admission essay. The screen is all yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Avenue team, for the wonderful and warm welcome. Good evening, everyone. I am Ms.Debati Bhattacharya, and today I'll be sharing with you a few tips for writing a compelling personal statement. So without much ado, let's begin. Now, before I dive into the pool of essay advice, I would like to disclose a very important fact. Let me begin my session by saying that essays are never a reason why a student gets admitted or denied. So don't feel the pressure of writing a Pulitzer-winning essay. Most admission committees are looking at capable and competitive students academically. Once those boxes have been ticked by looking at the test scores, GPA, letters of recommendation, after that, the essay helps in building an interesting class with diverse students. The admissions committee are looking for authentic, well-written glimpse into the student's life. As the Yale admissions director, Ms. Margie Durr puts it, it isn't a question about an essay changing our mind about the candidate, as the essay is an important part of a sense of the applicant from the start. A great essay can help tip the student in class if he or she already looks like a good applicant. So given that every other metric is the same, a well-written essay gives the students a chance to showcase their personalities and impress the admissions officer and boost their chances of being accepted. Now, let me give you a few tips for writing a compelling personal statement, and then we can work around a few ways to brainstorm ideas for the essays as well. The do's and don'ts of essay writing. Number one, power of a story is universal. Essays do the same as stories. Essays should have a stickiness quotient. They should attach to the reader's memory. Just as after reading a story, we often remember the story, even after we finish putting down the book, we almost miss the fact that the book is finished. Similarly, the essay should leave a lingering impact on the reader's mind. Through these essays, the colleges get to know you as a person. Grades, academic achievements, all of these can be gleaned from the transcript, letters of recommendation. This is your space to help them know you as a person. So avoid a rehash of your accomplishments on your high school resume and choose something that the admissions committee will not discover while reading the rest of your application. This brings us to the second point. Number two, focus on what lights your fire. This is your turf, you own it. Admission officers are actually listening for a student's voice and trying to figure out who they would be on the campus through these essays. Now, students should be building their own narrative. Regardless of the topic about which you choose to write, be sure that the essays reveal more about you than anything else. Now, here's the catch. Sometimes students can be very daunted about what to write. You are 17 or 18-year-olds. You may not have had any groundbreaking discovery or started a very successful venture. Fear not. It's not necessarily the big achievements. It could be anything from a major milestone to a smaller aha moment. It could be an event or accomplishment or a hobby that has shaped you and you're passionate about and have followed it through. You may not have won any accolades for it, but that's fine. It may be just part of your dinner table conversation. But what the colleges is looking for is a sense of maturity and introspection. Pinpoint the transformation and demonstrate your personal growth. To give a quick example, let me just read you a sample essay and I'll tell you what I'm trying to explain here. It's an interesting essay about a student who was tongue-tied and shy and went out to become part of the debate team. So let's have a look at this essay. Introduction. The clock was remarkably slow as I sat, legs tightly crossed, squirming at my desk. Just raise your hand, my mind pleaded. Ask. But despite my urgent need to visit the restroom, I remained seated, begging time to move faster. You see, I was the type of kid to eat French fries dry because I couldn't confront the McDonald's cashier for some Heinz ketchup packets. I was also the type to sit crying in front of the school instead of asking the office if it would call my mom to ask when she would come to pick me up. Essentially, I chose to struggle through a problem if the solution involved speaking out against it. In the main body, then the student goes on to explain that how she joined the debate team. By high school, I joined the school debate team, began socializing, and was even elected to head several clubs. 4 years with the debate team, and now I'm the kid up at the whiteboard, the kid leading discussions, and the kid standing for her beliefs. So you see how this child has explained her journey from one end of the spectrum, where she was a tongue-tied, shy student, to the other end, where she became a confident debater. So that's her life story, and she's celebrating it. Number 3, show, don't tell. Once you've identified the story you want to write about, believe in the phrase, show, don't tell. Show them your traits, believe, rather than stating them. Mention why you follow the particular hobby or follow the particular passion and why it has impacted you and what have you learned. Don't write a generic essay. Number 4, make the essay the right length. For example, the Common App will not accept more than stated word limit. So don't waste the precious 650 words to write about another person or describe a scene or restating the prompt. Number 5, the opening sentences should be a hook. It should grab the reader's attention. The admissions officer have roughly 20 minutes to spend on each application. And after having to read through the application, the transcripts, the letter of recommendation, there is not a whole lot of time for them to read through these essays. You want to hook the reader right from the beginning. Citing anecdotes is one way of doing it. For example, instead of saying, I have always been interested in engineering or technology, why didn't you write, my first foray into digging deeper into technology was when I would take apart my brother's or cousin's car to understand the mechanics, often failing to put it back together. So don't waste precious words by just restating the prompt. Number 6, organize your essay with a strong opening, a well-organized content, and a powerful closing. Start with an outline and design your essay paragraph by paragraph. This, I guess, is easier said than done. It often happens, even with me, when I start writing, I'm just staring at a blank screen for a while. Fear not, just start writing your ideas as it comes to you. Don't worry about the structure from the beginning. Your first draft will never be perfect. Once you have your thoughts in place, it's then that you structure the essay. Number 7, answer the question. Read the prompt carefully and pay particular attention to the two-part questions. For example, in a common app essay, if you're answering the prompt to evaluate a significant experience or risk that you've taken and how it has impacted you, make sure you thoroughly analyze the impact and critically write about the impact that it has brought into your life. 8, no need for thesaurus-ridden or overcrafted answers. Resist the temptation to be a sequedalian or come across a pedantic fop. I'm joking. See, it makes no sense what I said, but these are actually real words. All I was trying to say is don't write long-winded answers. Keep it simple, keep it crisp. 9, watch the tone of the essay. Don't be cynical or sarcastic. A bit of well-paced humor is fine. Number 10, no need to cite a laundry list of extracurricular activities. Colleges are looking for outside classroom engagement of the students and their genuine interest in these activities. My advice to you, skip the volunteer trip. Volunteer for a day at an orphanage or a week-long school building trip to Nepal. Frankly, these opportunities that money can bribe are a dime a dozen. But they don't talk about you or your passion. Number 11, to help you amend the essays, read it aloud to yourself. It's something even I follow for myself. The moment I read out something aloud, I kind of get to know where I have missed a mark, or where it is grammatically wrong, or where it's not even following through.
Debati ma'am,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Can you just stop sharing and reshare it again, because the letters are not legible in the presentation.
Sure, I'll do that. So I stop and I reshare. Okay, sure.
Please, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Now it's clear. Thank you so much.
I'm so
Sorry, ma'am,
sorry
if you can make it like a slideshow, because we can see your screen. I think you need to change the mode of your presentation into a slideshow or something.
It is on a slide.
Because we are seeing your Google Doc and everything, so it's taking away a lot of space.
Just one second.
I'm sorry to interrupt now. At the top, you can see presenter. This is, I hope, this you are doing through Google Slide. You have a presenter on the top. When you click that one, we will be able to see your slide in the full screen one.
I'm sure the kids are sitting with a pen and paper in their hand to make notes of your valuable comments. You're on mute, Debati.
Just give me a minute to set this up because I can't seem to be getting rid of the bar. So just give me a minute, please.
Students, be ready for your session. Ma'am will be joining in while.
Oh, it's perfect now. Thank you so much, Ms. Debati.
Debati ma'am, now you can carry on. That's very clear to us.
Fine. Yeah, let me just recollect my thoughts of where I left you on. So this is another thing. We should always be prepared for any eventuality. Okay. So so I had the last one was I said that I've finished all the do's and don'ts. Next thing I'm going to go on is, can I be cliche? Well, preferably no. So there are these very few, very overused and not really relevant phrases that often children have used. For example, from a very young age, I've always been. For as long as I remember, I've always been passionate about. Throughout my life, I've always enjoyed. Now, these are the kind of phrases that you should ideally avoid. As I have mentioned earlier, you need to find your own voice. Speak naturally without using these key phrases. So rather than saying that I've always been interested in law, as long as I remember, I've always been interested in law, it doesn't really hold much water. You need to demonstrate what is it that sparked your interest, what did you do about it. Make it more personal than a very generic statement. Give anecdotes. It's a great way to start an essay, and it also makes the readers connect to you. Now, I would like to do a few brainstorming sessions with you for the ideas. The first advice that I have for you is, please keep in mind that the essay is not your complete autobiography. It's overwhelming to think that you have to put your whole life story into this essay. It is not. You're speaking of one single formative experience, or a hobby, or a quirk, or something that's absolutely personal to you, like how you think, or how you value, or what are your strengths. It's not a movie that you're making, but more like a Nike ad. And just to put things in perspective, the time it takes to read a 500-word essay is almost as long as a Nike ad is. So make it crisp, make it simple. Also, the admissions officers are not really looking for major achievements in your essay. Even simple experiences like going on a fishing expedition or having a dinner table conversation with your family can tell a lot about you. So no matter what the topic is that you're writing about, the topic is just the frame or the lens through which the admissions officers will get to know you. So example, how to pick a college essay topic. Now let's say you have make an inventory of key experiences, achievements, adjectives that describe you. Anything significant in your background, like your culture, your food, or your family traditions. And also you can talk about the dreams for the future. So jot down these points. Now to be able to write about these, you need to delve a bit further into experiences. You can start by asking yourself questions like, if you really knew me, as something you're known amongst your friends, this will peel off the layers in your pattern and bring out something which is very unique to you. Next question could be, I love or I dream or my goal about the future. It gives what your perspective is for the future. I am celebrating. It could be your culture or your food or some family tradition. People who've made a difference in your life. How have they inspired you? So not only do you talk about the person, but you also talk about how the person has inspired you. And there's a new topic on gratitude in the Common App essay. So if you want to write about something that you're grateful about. So with these brainstorming exercises, you can start forming a framework of your essay. I always like to think that the essay is a way of knowing you. And what I mean by knowing you is knowing some values that you have. So on this sheet, I have a few values that I've kept out. You have a look at the values. I'll give you a few seconds to look at it. Ideally, there should be a few, maybe 10 values that you pick out of it and you jot it down. And then you try and build that into your essay. So I'll let you just have a quick look at this values exercise. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about what are the different kind of essays that you're expected to write. So one, in the Common App essay, you're expected to write one essay out of the 7 essay prompts that you have to choose from. It's roughly 550 to 650 words. Most other colleges require two to three supplemental essays, which are roughly 350 words. Then you have a separate section to mention your extracurricular activities. These could be up to 10 activities with 150 characters to discuss each activity. Not many of you will be using it, but there's another coalition form which is very helpful. You choose one prompt out of the 5 ones, and it's 500 to 650 words. And then, for example, some other colleges, they have specific essays. For example, University of California, they have their personal insight questions. So you choose 4 out of the 8 personal insight questions, which are roughly 350 words. And then if you're applying for the UK, you have the UCAS personal system statement, which is roughly 4,000 characters. I want to briefly touch upon the difference between the US and the UK personal statement. The US is known more for its breadth when they're looking at the essays. So you showcase your personality, your background, your non-academic accomplishments. And also you demonstrate an aptitude for a range of subjects. It's more personable and it's very interesting to read. You could use anecdotes, narratives to reveal your personality and motivations. When it comes to the supplemental essays, they are primarily about why this college kind of an essay. So you have to show why are you particularly interested in an university. And the word count is of course set by each university. The UK personal statement, on the other hand, is looking for complete depth. It's subject focused. It shows your pursuit in their subject beyond the classroom. You should be able to explain your desire to study the subject. And very importantly, you should tell them how the subject fits with your long-term plans. The essays are not university specific. So when you're writing one essay in UCAS, you're applying to 5 colleges. All 5 colleges will be looking at the same essay. and it has a maximum of 4,000 characters. The other interesting bit about the UK system is that it's been read by subject matter experts who have a say whether they should be admitting you or not. So you need to show a very good grasp about the subject as well as demonstrate your ambition to pursue the subject in the college. Now, this is another interesting one. I want to just read a good example of a personal statement and a bad example of a personal statement. So it goes on to say that, although I enjoy studying maths and geography, it is business studies that I want to study in more depth. I believe a degree in business will help me build on my understanding of marketing and financial management. Business have to operate within a legal framework, and I was lucky enough to shadow a lawyer to gain insight into the profession. Now, in the good example that students has mentioned about his choice of course, he has provided information on the experience that he has gained, that he has done an internship. Now, I shouldn't be saying this, but a bad example is something like, I've always dreamt of coming to LSE since I was young. It had been a dream of mine to study at this institution, which is well renowned for its social science courses. I'm currently studying history, English, business, and management at high level, and French and chemistry at standard level in the International Baccalaureate, and feel that these subjects are providing me with a solid background for university study. Now you see the first mistake that the student has mentioned LSE. Now that is not going to go down very well with other colleges that she or he is applying for. And he's also spent very precious word space by mentioning the subjects that he's studying in IB, which you would have anyways put it in your application. And also he goes on to explain why he's interested in history without giving much relevant background information on it. So that's another example of what you shouldn't be doing in your personal statement. So with that, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening to me. For those of you in Muscat, I know it's the start of your weekend. Thank you for bearing with me throughout my presentation. A parting note, remember, a job begun is half done. So get cracking on your essays now. For any assistance, please feel free to reach me at Debati Bhattacharya at debati@gmail.com. And my phone number is +968, the country code, 9707-9055. At the end, I just want to play a short clip of what are the common mistakes that are being made in essays. It's been provided by some of the admissions officers of some renowned universities. It's worthwhile to have a look at what they have to say.
It's hard to write that essay, it really is, because it's a page or a page and a half, and you know the three most common topics, at least the three topics that are really important to high school students, or perhaps that have impacted their lives in the most profound way, would be the death of a loved one or friend, moving, or divorce. And those are pretty heavy-duty topics. And there have been outstanding authors over the years who have tried to approach those topics and have had a difficult time in a 500-page book. And now we're asking a 17-year-old to reflect on that in 750 words or less. So it's a great challenge, so be careful.
I think that if you don't feel that you can trust the admissions officer to safeguard your secrets or to see you in a vulnerable light, you're going to miss an opportunity for the admissions officer to get to know you as well as he or she possibly could. One of the biggest mistakes that students make on their application essays is to sort of make an embellished resume. So we've already seen your resume, we've already seen what you've done, what you're interested in. Don't use the very few words you have to tell us about yourself only to talk about what you do. I think the essay is sometimes thought of as a way to show yourself off. And in reality, what it is for us is a way to understand why you do the things you do, how those things impact you, how those experiences have shaped your worldview.
One of my pet peeves when I read admissions essays is when students describe an event without explaining the significance of it. And so if you tell me, for example, about a snowstorm, okay, sure. But, what does that tell me about you? Last year, I read an essay about a student or that a student wrote about his grandfather. And it was very well written, lots of wonderful imagery and good punctuation and grammar. But by the end of the essay, I wanted to admit the student's grandfather because it was all about him. And so I didn't learn anything about the student in that essay. And so in that case, although it was a great essay, it was not great for this purpose.
Students who are creative will sometimes think that they should have a more visually appealing essay. And so they'll create their essay to be in the shape of something that represents who they are. You know, it can be hard to read an essay that's shaped like a chalice, let's say. I've also seen students take the approach of a letter to a roommate or their presidential acceptance speech that they're going to give down the road, thanking Georgetown for the opportunity. And I think sometimes the ploy can take over the essay and you can't get past sort of the tool that they've used and you don't actually get to the student. So I think it's better to write a simple, heartfelt essay than to try to put too much time into crafting something that you think will stand out or catch our attention.
I kind of understand where students are coming from when they say, oh, let me mention all these different things, but I try to encourage students to sort of hone in maybe on one experience, on one extracurricular, and use that as a lens through which we can get to see the way that you think, the way that your world operates, and also who you might be on our campus.
So that brings us to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. That was an informative session. Now, we would like to request our most honored speaker, Ms.Debati, to kindly attend the Q&A session, where the audience would like to clarify their doubts and concerns. Let me invite the moderator for this session, Ms. Asha Mohan, to share with you the questions raised by our aspiring audience.
Thank you, Mahiti. Thank you, Mrs. Debati, for that very informative session. I think this was just an intro to what essay writing is, and I think now students will probe more into it. We have a few questions which have been raised by some students. Am I permitted to ask them now?
Yes, please go ahead.
What exactly do the examiners or officials expect out of my essay?
Well, there are two ways of looking at it. One is the US application, which is by far the most vast. So they are looking at you as a person. They are looking at, as I said, it's not about your academic achievements or winning accolades. It's about your personal growth. As if you have faced any obstacles in your life, how have you dealt with it? If you're faced with any tribulations or trials in your life, how have you faced with it? So because when they're admitting you into a class of diverse students, and they want to see how you fit into their campus culture, how do you fit into their college ethos and visions. So the main thing about applying to US colleges is just be true to yourself, express you as a person. As opposed to a UK college, they're looking at more of your academic achievements and how do you want to take that academic achievements in the future through the courses that you're studying in the college, and so on and so forth. So the aptitude is a bit different when it comes to the US colleges and the UK colleges. So depending on where you're applying is how you need to build up your essays. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, ma'am. There's a question which is related to this again. Apart from the US and UK, is there a different dimension with regard to the officials' expectations if we are trying to approach other countries?
It's a cakewalk for other countries, frankly, because I've read that most Canadian colleges probably do not need essays. It depends on the colleges that you're applying to. Singapore just needs a 350-word personal statement where it's just basically you telling you about yourself, your academic achievements. I think if you've tackled the US and the UK applications and these essays, you could possibly write for anywhere else in the world. They are far more straightforward and the questions are very, very to the point that they ask for.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you please give your tips on how to create the hook in the opening statement?
Well, in my mind, it should be an anecdote really works. So as I've mentioned here, rather than saying for years, I've been interested in technology or engineering. Start by saying that, and I give an example, that my first foray into understanding mechanics was when I took my brother's or my cousin's car apart to understand the mechanics of it, failing miserably to put it back together. So you've given your liking towards technology, you've given a personal anecdote which one can relate to, and you've built in a slight humor which really appeals to a reader. So anecdotes are a great way of starting an essay, if I can say.
Thank you, ma'am. In your presentation, you had shown us that as students, we are supposed to write 3 essays. How are these 3 different from each other?
Sorry, there are 4, I can't remember the 3 essays bit. So for example, in UC, you have to write 4 out of 8 prompts. And irrespective of the number, whether it's 3 or 4, it's basically the college admissions committee has this lens which they're trying to look into you. So whatever be the prompts, it's basically they want to understand various facets of your personality. It could be through 3 essays, through 4 essays, or it could be even through 1 essay. But you have to realize that this is the personality that I want to showcase to the college, and this is what I'm going to answer for each of the prompts. In fact, one of the suggestions that I always give to my students, don't even read the prompts. Because the moment you read the prompt, you would be actually sitting in front of the computer, you will restate the prompt, and you will watch the cursor blinking and not be able to answer the prompt. So ideally, think of the personality that you want to showcase. Once you have that in place, believe me, you can put it through any prompt that you wish to. The college officers don't really care how you answer the prompts. I mean, they do, but what they're really looking for it is how do you express your personality to them. So it could be through any prompt that you can really showcase your personality.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
One last question.
Sure.
Can you please suggest any specific website which can help us in this regard?
Yes, you can have a look at the college essay guide. He's a very interesting person, and he has run various workshops on essay writing, on personal statements, in fact, even on college applications. And if you open up his website, you will see a lot of information on various exercises that you can do on college essay writing, how to fill up applications, even how to write the supplementary essays. So that's one helpful website that I highly recommend. I have read through his website too.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for answering all these questions patiently. I'm sure our students would have benefited a lot from your session. Now I request Mahiti to take over the proceedings.
Thank you, ma'am, for all your support and guidance given to the large audience by attending to their concerns so patiently during the course of the discussion.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You've been a wonderful host, so kudos to both of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
As we draw to an end of this great enriching session, I deem it my great privilege to propose a vote of thanks. Let me first express a profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said for the magnanimous benevolence showered on the Indian diaspora in the Sultanate of Oman. May the Almighty shower abundant blessings on His Majesty and his country. We extend our sincere thanks to our eminent speaker, Ms.Debati, for all her words of motivation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful experience for me as well.
Our deepest sense of appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Shivakumar Manikam, Chairman, Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman, and other honorary directors in the Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. Thank you for your encouraging presence and guidance at all times.
Our sincere thanks to Mr. Alkesh Joshi, the President, Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir Management Committee, and other members of the Management Committee for their profound encouragement at all times. I also wish to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt gratitude to our pillar of strength, Mr. D.N. Rao, Principal ISWK, Principals of the Indian Schools in Oman, Vice Principals, Assistant Vice Principals, Coordinators, Supervisors, and the entire teaching fraternity of all the Indian schools in the Sultanate of Oman for their support and guidance at all times.
We are indeed grateful to our platinum sponsor, StudyCo, gold sponsors, Jain Group of Institutions, Grey Matter Academics, Sri Ramchandra Institute of Higher Education, and Vellore Institute of Technology. Bronze sponsors, Middle East College, Oman, Thapar Institute, Dallas Baptist University, and MIT World Peace University, Pune. Our digital partner, Spectrum, and our media partner, The Arabian Stories, for their support in making this mega event a tangible reality. I wish to thank each and every student and parent for their valuable presence in making this program a grand event. An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. Thank you, my ISWK team, for making Avenir 2021 possible. Thank you all. Signing off from this session are your compares, Gitanjali and Mahiti. Take care and have a wonderful evening ahead.
Great job, Mahiti and Gitanjali.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Ms. Debati, it was really nice to have all these valuable tips from you.
Thank you so much for encouragement.
I'm
Thank you.
sure the students will be greatly benefited. Thank you so much.
I do hope. Thank you very much for the wonderful platform. Thank you.